we've got hubbub breaking out over border funding. The Democrats say that they are not interested in funding the border wall in any way, shape, or form. This should be a win for the president of the United States. Somehow the administration seems to be seizing defeat from the jaws of victory on what should be a pretty obvious PR campaign that the Democrats are willing to allow us to be insecure simply so that they can pander to a particular base. Here's Chuck Schumer, the Senate Minority Leader, saying that there will be no wall in any form. We're not paying for any wall at all for no reason. No, not happening.
President Trump should understand there are not the votes for the wall in the House or the Senate. He is not going to get the wall in any form.
Okay, so when he says that, Trump's response should be, well, if you won't give me the wall, then I'm not going to sign a bill without the funding for the wall. Instead, Stephen Miller, who is one of the president's top advisors, particularly on immigration, he went on TV and he decided to parrot what the president wants him to say. This is why personality matters in the presidency. The president of the United States would be significantly better served if he allowed PR professionals to do their job, as opposed to him watching the shows and then deciding whether he likes what people are saying and how it makes him feel on the inside of his heart. Stephen Miller says a lot of stuff President Trump wants to hear, but it's not good for the president's PR campaign. I'll explain why in a second. Here's Miller explaining that Trump will, in fact, shut down the government.
What is the president's plan, and will he shut it down to get this $5 billion in border wall funding?
We're going to do whatever is necessary to build the border wall to stop this ongoing crisis of illegal immigration.
And that means
this is a very, if it comes to it, absolutely. This is a very fundamental issue. At stake is the question of whether or not the United States remains a sovereign country, whether or not we can establish and enforce rules for entrance into our country. The Democrat Party is a simple choice. They can either choose to fight for America's working class or to promote illegal immigration. You can't do both.
Okay, so he is totally right about all of this, but when he says Trump will absolutely shut the government down over the border wall fight, when he says that, he shouldn't be owning it. Right? Trump wants to say that because Trump likes feeling aggressive. But the point here is the Democrats are shutting down the government by not giving the funding that is necessary. And this is a winning battle for Republicans. It is a winning battle for Republicans. Again, it's being blown on the back of bad PR, but it is a winning battle. I'll give you another example. So last week, there was a case we talked about on Friday of a 7-year-old girl who died while she was in Border Patrol custody of dehydration. She was flown by helicopter to a medical center to take care of her. They didn't even know she was in dehydration until shortly before she started seizing up, basically. And that was the fault of her father, who brought her over thousands of miles without giving her any food or any water, and then she dies in American custody. And this leads the left to suggest that it is President Trump's fault. Stephen Miller is asked about this. And here is Stephen Miller's response to the 7-year-old girl's death. Now, the answer is, why did the 7-year-old girl die? Well, the 7-year-old girl died because her father didn't take care of her. And he didn't take care of her because he thought he could get in illegally. Listen to Miller's answer, because it's kind of a problem.
Our hearts break for the tragic death of the 7-year-old girl. The loss of that precious life is horrifying. Last year, 100,000 unaccompanied alien children or children traveling with adults showed up at our southern border. Mm-hmm. President Trump took dramatic action, issued an executive order directing illegal traffic to the ports of entry. But a left-wing activist judge issued a reckless nationwide injunction on the president's order, putting thousands of lives at risk and further enriching these grotesque,
and a record number continues to cross.
Okay, so again, this sort of charged language with regard to left-wing courts are responsible for all of this. The reality is that the person responsible for this is the girl's dad, right? The person responsible for all of this is the father who didn't feed the child. And he's not, again, a lot of this is about tone. A lot of this is about presentation. But the problem with this is then the president tweets out about this sort of stuff. So the president tweets out about child separations. Now, his answer on child separations should be that child separations are bad. The child separations are being mandated by the courts of the United States, which is true. Instead, the president tweets out, the Democrats' policy of child separation on the border during the Obama administration was far worse than the way we handle it now. Remember the 2014 picture of children in cages, the Obama years. So far, so good. But then he says this, however, if you don't separate, far more people will come. Smugglers use the kids. It's that sentence, however, if you don't separate, far more people will come. Okay. Now the implication is that he wants to separate children from their parents when they get to the border, which he doesn't want to do. Okay, so this is where a little bit of forethought when it comes to messaging would be very, very useful, because I think that it's quite possible for Republicans to win both this battle and win the war when it comes to immigration, but they're going to need to do a little bit better job on the PR. Now, just a second.